distressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thanks for coming on my show today.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
This is actually our 4-year anniversary. We've been doing this show for 4 years.
That is amazing. It's about 4 years since I have moved here.
So where'd you come from?
I came from Montana. So
How was it there?
Cold. Right now it's in the negative degrees. I just talked to my dad yesterday and he told me that the low was negative 30 and the high was like negative 4. And that is exactly why I moved.
Oh my goodness. What do they think? Do you send them segments? What do they think of your life here?
Yeah, they do. And actually I had my mom on the show the other day. Well, I guess it was a few weeks ago, talking about the negative degrees. So it was cool to have her on and talk about the weather.
Did she come in person or did you do the Zoom?
No, we did the Zoom.
That
we did
is
the Zoom.
so funny.
And you could see the frost on the doorknob and just really experience how cold it really was in there.
Oh my gosh. So what's the summertime like?
The summertime actually last year was pretty warm in the 80s and 90s. So it does get warmer, but only for a few months out of the year. And it's very rural in Montana. There's only 1 million people in the whole state. My hometown's 35,000. It was a big change to get here, but everybody says I have an accent, so.
A little bit. And then is it true, because like they weren't really quarantined that much in Montana because it was like Montana. I heard like there wasn't really a reason to like.
It was very different, but there were a lot of people that were also traveling there during the pandemic. It was interesting to see, especially from the news aspect, how every state kind of dealt with the pandemic differently, and such an interesting time to be able to cover the news.
Because you were here.
Yeah, I was here. I had only been here for less than a year.
Wow. So that, yeah, you're here getting used to like, this is cool, and then boom.
Yep.
Wow.
No, actually, I had just gone to my mom's wedding in Hawaii. She got married in Maui.
Wow.
And anyways, it was the first week of March 2020. I was over there. I was having a great time. No cares in the world, surfing, all of that. And then I come back and I go to the grocery store. Everything wiped out. And then the next week I was at work and our boss started talking to us about, listen, we think that this is going to come down from the city. There's going to be a state of emergency, a lockdown order, and to be in the news industry when all of that happened was very crazy.
Yeah, I can totally relate because I was like in DC actually when that first week or whatever, and then they were talking about the abortion, all that stuff. So they did talk about the pandemic, but not like what it was going to turn into. And so the very next week when I came back, and then this was like a big deal. I'm like, how did I go from like that, and then that was the news, to like, yeah, there's like a, you know, there's a disease, blah, 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 to like now that's all we talk about. And so that was really interesting, just how fast. So like you said, you were just told about it, you came back, boom, boom, boom. Isn't that crazy? So
crazy. And I mean, Hawaii was so far behind everything else. So it seemed like
Hawaii time.
You're literally here, behind. But like back there, they weren't even worried about it. They weren't really even talking about it that much. And you know, everybody goes there to relax, have fun. And so then when you come back and you're like, oh, wow, I am back in reality. There is a global pandemic.
And then you're like, I should have just gone back, stayed back in Hawaii.
Well, and then there was just a lot of crazy news. I mean, that same year, everything happened with George Floyd. So we were covering the protests locally.
That was after
the pandemic, but it was in that summer of 2020. And then right after that was the Creek Fire. And so then I was going up to Shaver Lake every single day for a month and a half. Pulling like almost 13-hour days. I would get up in the morning, head into work, grab my gear, probably about like 7:30ish, head up the mountain, go live at 11:30 noon. Go and actually viewers reached out to me and they said that they appreciated the coverage, but what they really wanted is they wanted a reporter to go around and just record on their phone all of the neighborhoods and then just post those on social media.
That's what you started doing, becoming really socially active, because you're so good at that. And I was like, what? So there was a need, that's what people want.
And so they wanted to see their homes and they wanted to see if they were safe.
And
so
you did it.
I would go up there And for the next 2.5 hours, I would just start recording neighborhoods, and then I'd post what neighborhood it was online.
Wow.
And people started reaching out to me and just saying, thank you so much, like I saw my home, or hey, can you head down this area? And my photographer and I tried to do as many as we could, and it showed how much that meant to the community. And then from there, then I would go back down, go live for 3, 5, 6, 6:37. And sometimes for other stations too, because we have a lot of sister stations across California. So it was a busy time.
Well, going back to the pandemic, when you got the news, because I felt like we were like a little bit behind. I mean, no one knew what to do. No one knew what was going on. How did you feel about the news coming and reporting it? Because I bet people went to you a lot, even asking what to expect, and we didn't get that much info. We got info whenever there was just nothing. Everything was changing every day. So how did you respond to that?
Well, every day I was kind of just trying to interview the same people, but also tell the people's stories. I think it's important as we're covering the community, not only to talk to the officials and the mayor and the governor and that kind of stuff, but the businesses that it actually affected as well. And, I did a lot of stuff with the Restaurant Association and the salons that really hit hard, and just speaking with the schools and everyone. It was very hard to witness everything that was happening. And then also it affected me personally because my grandma ended up getting COVID, and she passed away in July of 2020. And I drove from here in California, and that's who I'm named after. So my first name is Merderios. Her last name was Merderios. It was her family name. It's Portuguese.
I love that.
But anyways, I drove from here up to Montana to be in the hospital room with her, and actually was there as she passed away.
I'm glad they let you.
Yeah, because I wasn't exposed to COVID and hadn't tested positive. They said that there could be 2 people. Now, I was in full PPE. I had on, the N95, the mask over it, the face shield. You couldn't even really tell that it was me, but then I came back and I told that story. Now, that story was the hardest story that I have ever shared in my whole journalism career, because it's my personal story. I said to you, usually I'm the one interviewing, not the one being interviewed. So when I had to tell that story, it was kind of flipping the roles.
And did you drive because you couldn't go on the plane because of COVID?
Well, I could have flown, but at that point, it was so unsure. I mean, we were only a few months into the pandemic that I was like, ooh, I'm not feeling too great about flying right now. So I decided to drive, and it just was faster, honestly, than trying to figure out everything, and cheaper. So
what has it been like sharing your stories and doing all that here? I mean, this is like a new territory. Did you make friends right away? I know you get to meet people right away in your job, but how is it like just adapting?
It's been great in Fresno. I mean, I tell people all the time, when I moved here, I kind of just had a feeling that it was the right next spot, especially being from such a small area and then coming to a bigger city to me. And everybody was telling my dad, why are you moving your daughter to Fresno? Don't take her to Fresno. And then I got here, and the community really just embraced me, and I met a lot of good people. I am a persistent reporter, so I'm going to keep on catching up with you and checking in and knocking on doors. I'm known as the reporter that is a little more gutsy, so I like to go knock on doors, try to get the scoop.
I love that.
And I try to really build those relationships within the community, like to do the Beautify Fresno events and get involved locally, but also ask the hard questions. And I'm not going to shy away from politicians or anybody. I'm going to ask.
What are some of the hard questions you've asked that you were like, you can't even believe you asked? Or they give you that weird?
I mean, I'm not too worried about, there's a lot of questions about the pandemic that I asked about, and I had even gotten called out by some officials. I won't say which ones, but there's been ones that haven't liked that maybe I've been a strong woman, and it's been interesting to see that happen.
Wow.
But my parents are divorced, but on my mom's side, she has 4 daughters. And for her, it was very important for her to teach us to be strong women.
And you're Portuguese.
Yes.
Like, that's just going to come with the territory.
Of course. Yes. I always tell Buddy Mendez, I've interviewed him several times from the county, and I always say, because we're both Portuguese, I said, yep, those Portuguese women, they're strong and they're stubborn. And that describes me.
And a lot of them were giving us nothing during that time. But I did the first week was like interviewing like all politicians, and they really had little information. It was funny. I was trickling down. So you just had it. You're like, hey, what's going on with this, that, and the other?
Yep. And with police too, or just different things. Trying to keep on asking questions, and you're not going to get an answer if you don't ask. So what's the worst they can say? No comment.
What do they say at the station? What are the kind of rules they give you?
Well, I mean, we have a certain protocol and that kind of stuff, but I'm in charge of pitching stories every day. I think a lot of people don't realize that is like a reporter's job is a lot of work. And, I come in every day, pitch 3 story ideas in the morning meeting, and usually you have to do your background before that. So you're calling people, trying to figure out what's going on in the community. After that, then you have to set up all your interviews. You go and interview everyone. You then write the story, you get it approved. You track it, and then you go live. And I was working for 24 and 47, so that was going live at least twice a day. And then writing something for the web, because that's where reporting is going nowadays. Right. More digital, and posting on social media. So it's a full-time job, Sparkle.
How was it to get those stories? Because moving here, you didn't even know anybody. You probably didn't even know where Madeira was, and everyone's like, your name's like Madeira, all that stuff. So where did you start when you came here?
Well, my first report actually was in Madeira. And it's funny because at my last station in Montana, we would always say the city. So we would say reporting from whatever the city was and then our name. So I was going to do that in Madeira. And I was like, reporting from Madeira, Merderios Babb. And then I was like, wait. I don't think that makes sense. So, no, I did a story there, and I was working the weekends, and then the tragedy at the Gilroy Garlic Festival happened with the shooting, the mass shooting there. Right. And I got sent the next day over there to cover it. And I went over there, and I went with this photographer named Kevin. He's great. But anyways, we went over there, and there was this vendor that was like sitting on the curb. And I just went over, and I was just, hey, how are you doing? What are you doing here? Not even filming yet. And he said, well, I came from Washington. I had a space here, and when the shots rang out, I just left, and everything that I have is now inside there, and it's a crime scene, so I can't get back in. And so I said, well, would you mind just interviewing with me? And so he agreed. I started to interview him. Well, it was interesting because then every single of the other networks came over and was like crowding him as we were doing the interview. And so at a certain point, I could tell he was getting overwhelmed. And I decided, enough is enough. I'm going to back off. And then I later looked him up, called his employer, and I just checked on him. And he called me back, and he was crying, and he said, nobody else checked on me. And that was a very emotional time. Wow. And I did get very overwhelmed by the rest of the stations. Thank you for, walking away. And I think that's the thing too, is as a journalist, you have to know when it goes maybe too far. And
that
nowadays,
is really nice that you did that. Wow.
Yeah. So after that, then that's when I started to get kind of some of the bigger stories. And then I really started covering crime, government, COVID, that kind of stuff. But I really liked crime reporting because I've always been fascinated by true crime.
And then some of the stories come to you where like you have to report on this, and then some you get to choose, or you have some in the back pocket that you're gonna focus on that day. How does that work?
Well, you pitch 3 each day. Now that doesn't mean they're gonna get chosen. A lot of the times though, I gotta cover the things that I wanted to, but there's also the big news of the day. And so whenever there's breaking news, then you just get sent out to that as well. But I'll fight for certain stories, and it doesn't have to be necessarily like huge breaking news stories. But during the Creek Fire, there was an owl that landed inside of a helicopter during a water drop, okay? So it flew into a window that was only about this big, sat on the chair next to the pilot, looked at the pilot, was there for like one water drop, and then flew out. It didn't die.
Wow.
And I wanted to do this story so bad.
That's really fascinating.
I really had to fight for the story.
That's so exciting.
Well, because they want to have stories that you're going to be at the top of the newscast. It's not necessarily.
I've seen a lot of fluff on there. That's exciting.
But
not on yours, just in general.
No, I know. So I had to fight for it, and so I said, well, I'll do 2 stories if you let me do this story today. I'll do a story earlier that you want me to do. And then I'm also going to do this story, if that's okay, and this can be for the later ones. And anyways, I interviewed the pilot. I had the photos. I talked to an expert about, what are the chances of this bird, this owl, flying in and flying out and not dying. And they were like, well, in order for that to happen, the owl would have to be going the same rate as the helicopter, like the exact same speed. And so, I mean, it was crazy. And then the Fresno County Sheriff's office, they have a helicopter, and they talked about how one time, like, a bird hit their helicopter, smashed the window. Nobody got hurt, thank gosh. But it was a great story. And it's actually one of my most popular tweets. So that shows that what you fight for, really pays off.
I can't even imagine you had to push for that one, but I'm glad you did.
Well, they just wanted to do a smaller story where, they just did 30 seconds or whatever. And I'm like, nobody else in the market is going to sit down and do like a 2-minute long story interview with all these people, and nobody else did. It was the only one, so it was great.
How is it with time? Like, how was that to navigate initially? Like when they're like, you only have this much time and you give a story? Because that's got to be one of the hardest battles to conquer for you.
Yeah, well, now that I switched over to investigative in August of last year. So I get to do more longer form stuff, which is fun. But like I did a whole series on a trailer park in Fresno, Trails End Mobile Home Park, which there were 3 fires within several months. One was a deadly fire that led to a wrongful death lawsuit, but the city ended up taking over mobile home parks. So for stories like that, I did get a little bit longer, and again, being the stubborn Portuguese woman that I am, I did fight for that time. But
I love that.
Sometimes you do get a little bit 2-3 minutes, but they always say that it's hard cutting down your story because it really is like your baby. And so when you have to say only certain things can stay, it can be kind of hard, but that's the business.
And you got to tell the grizzly story. That's exciting to me. This is really...
So I'm from Montana. The first station that I worked at was in Bozeman, Montana. And the sports director / he also
is that where you went to school at, by the way, Montana?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is also my school mascot. Was the Grizzlies, okay? So that also just shares that.
And then you came here with the Fresno Grizzlies, so it's following you.
Right? But no, anyway, so there's this wrestling grizzly bear. I'm not sure exactly which, I'm not that much into wrestling. But anyways, the bear goes around and like is in a cage, and people can go in with it. It's the wildest thing.
Oh, you can go in the cage?
Yeah, but you have to sign a waiver. And so anyways, the reporter wanted to do a story with the grizzly bear and with this man that like takes care of the grizzly bear, which is so scary to me because I live in Montana. We carry bear spray everywhere because there have been several grizzly attacks. Not a good deal, right? So he does this story, and I mean, he's like sitting on a couch next to this huge, ginormous, probably like 400-pound grizzly bear.
Oh my goodness.
And then they go fishing with the grizzly bear. So it's just like in the river.
Does a grizzly bear fish?
Well, it goes and grabs it.
Like
but
that would be a funny picture.
They're fishing with their fishing poles. So it's interesting. This job is so great in the sense that every single day you're doing something different.
That you don't expect.
Yeah, no. There's so many different people. I mean, I've covered presidential visits. I've covered wildfires. I've covered a pandemic now, protests.
Yeah, you could have never said that at the beginning of your career. I think one day I'll do that.
Well, and then I covered a murder trial, too, down in the South Valley, and 48 Hours was there. And
what murder trial was that?
Erica Sandoval, and it actually was a hung jury. So it's going to be retried. It was supposed to be retried in 2020, but then everything happened.
Right.
So maybe this year. It keeps on getting pushed.
Did you make
back.
connections with the 48 Hours people?
Yeah, I actually was, my name was on the credits too, because our station worked with 48
yay,
Hours,
how
and I
exciting.
was on there for 3 seconds.
Oh my, I would think you'd be a great host for that. That's really cool.
Yeah, so it was very neat, but it was a long process, and it was cool to see how everything came together.
What are some of your goals, like long term?
So I always wanted to be an actress. I'm a big theater kid. I did a lot of plays growing up, like 15 different productions.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I wanted to be an actress, but decided I wanted to go to college. So I did
a merge kind of the best of both worlds.
So I'm a big NFL fan, Broncos fan. Tough year, but anyways, I was going to be a sports reporter, and then the school that I went to was more news focused when it came to broadcast, and so I got into news. And the goal has always been to go network, to be on the evening news, that kind of stuff, ABC, CBS, NBC. But I've really enjoyed my time here in Fresno as well. I mean, I thought originally I was only going to come here for a couple years, and now I've been here almost 4. And so the Valley has grown on me, and my grandma was from the Valley.
Really?
Yeah, and so kind of coming back to her roots. I don't have any immediate family here, but her cousins and all of that stuff.
That's great. So you had a little bit going for. But so as far as like news goes, would you want to transition into doing something like 48 Hours?
I think that would be great. I have always loved true crime, and I'm always listening to the true crime podcasts, and I used to watch Snapped.
Oh, I love that.
So I do enjoy different stuff like that, but I don't really know yet. It's just wherever the next best opportunity is, and we will see how far I will go.
So last question, if you could interview anybody, who would you interview?
Who would I interview? So this might actually be surprising, but I'm a big Eckhart Tolle fan, and he talks about, just like being present in the moment and like living every moment to the fullest. And if you have like anxiety, or if you have had a difficult childhood, or just in general, like dealing with your ego and talking about the different factors of our mind and stuff. I think it would be so interesting to interview him. But I would love to do a whole bunch of, like, I'm working on a death row case right now, and I would love to do an interview on death row. I think that would be fascinating.
Wow.
There's so many people I would love to interview. It's hard to even put it into one. And I did meet Brad Pitt, but I didn't get to interview him.
Where did all this happen at?
So I went to the Golden Globes with the station, so there was a few tickets that we had.
Wow.
And we got to sit in, just like the stands where the fans are as they do the red carpet. And the woman that was there, that was one of the security people, was saying, if you want to meet one of the stars, you have to be aggressive. You have to kind of be like, hey. And
you're like, I could do that.
Hey. And no, someone else with their company is like, oh no, that's something my wife would do. I would never do that. And I go, well, you're not going to do it. I'll do it. And I'm going to tell you right now. And this was before the red carpet. I go, you're going to be sorry when I meet Brad Pitt and you don't.
You did not.
Yeah. And so we're sitting in the stands, and different people come up and everybody's yelling. And then all of a sudden Brad Pitt comes up. I've never seen someone so beautiful, like not even like handsome, just like he was flawless. And I love all his movies and that kind of stuff too. So he comes up, and then I walk down the steps and I go to the area and I go, Brad, will you take a picture with me? And he comes over and I get a quick selfie, and then the line behind me is like 10 people. He goes, nope, that's it.
Wow,
Just one
I love
person.
it. You got in.
And then I said to the coworker, hey, I told you, man, I was going to get a picture with Brad Pitt.
You should have put money on that.
I know, seriously. Always bet on yourself.
So where does everybody go to follow you?
So they can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the same. My name is very unique. At Merderios Babb, that's Merderios Babb, and also CBS 47. So I'm doing the morning show right now, anchoring for a little while. So I will be on from 5 to 7 every morning, and then I do the noon show as well. And you can find all my stories, all of that, on yourcentralvalley.com.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great time.
Thanks for coming on my show today.
Of course.
So you didn't just come, you brought like a whole family of pets.
I brought just a couple, really, honestly.
So who is this little guy?
This is a bearded dragon, and they're one of the most popular pets here in America for families. They actually are native to Australia, and this guy I literally just picked him up yesterday, Monday, okay? He has a damaged tail.
Ooh, why is that? Just
Well,
getting in a fight?
No, it looks like it either got burned, or if they didn't let it properly shed, it got constricted and it's falling off. So, but that's just a minor thing that we deal with in the rescue on a daily basis.
Oh man. So when did you get into all this?
Well, I have enjoyed reptiles for many, many years. When my kids were little, I wanted them to know more than just cats and dogs. So we've had literally just about every kind of pet there is. Cats, dogs, geese, ducks, chickens. We've had a ferret, a domesticated squirrel, lizards, snakes, turtles, tortoises, you name it, we've had it. And my kids grew up with it. And so 15 years ago, actually this month, this is our 15-year anniversary, one of the parents from church had asked me, hey, would you do something for my kid's party? Because he loves it when you bring this stuff to church, because I do children's story all the time.
I bet they love it.
Oh, yeah. So I did, and everybody there was like, you should do this as a business, because 15 years ago it was John's Incredible Pizza or a swim party. Basically, that was your option. So looked into it, got my business license, started advertising, and for me, because I have a job, since I'm doing it using animals, I wanted to do it for the animals and became a reptile rescue. Been doing that ever since.
Wow. So is this like your full time now? This is like
No. I have a job. This is literally just
but this
part-time.
is so time consuming. That's the crazy part.
It's not as time consuming as most people think. Once you have the setup properly done, the maintenance is minimal. It's the proper setup. So, maintenance is minimal, really.
So where do we go to hire you for like a party?
Well, I sent him my QR code, but Todd the Snake Man, you just Google that and it's everywhere.
So I bet you get pretty busy at certain times of year, right?
Well, yeah, typically I do 2 to 3 parties, events a weekend.
Wow. So that's why I'm saying this is really consuming. I can't believe it's just a part-time job because.
Well, it is. You're at a party for an hour. I've gone as far north as Sacramento, down Bakersfield, out to Atascadero, Salinas, Monterey. I go all over. San Jose.
How exciting. So what do your kids go with you? Do they come
well, my kids did when they were little. My son did. But now they're grown adults doing their own thing, and I'm still doing this.
Did they bring it to show and tell? They were like, here we go?
Oh, they did, yeah.
Oh, I bet.
My daughter, when she was taking school to be a preschool teacher, she actually did show and tell like in her class for one of her classes when you had to entertain the kids there, and she did that for one of her preschool things.
So what is it like to take care of? Like, where do you go and get like these pets?
Well, most any pet store has bearded dragons. Petco, Whitey's, Seven Wonders, which is not too far from here. These guys are one of the most common. I deal with, most of the rescues are common pet animals. People get tired of them, or they're moving, decide they don't want to move all the equipment or, and everything else. So this day and age, a lot of things seem to be more disposable than they used to be. Disposable cell phones, disposable marriages, everything, nothing noticeable. Yeah, nothing lasts
I
anymore.
notice a lot of kids get bored too, and so you have to deal with that. It's
so people get them with the kids, like say a ball python that can live 25 years or more.
That's so cool.
Kid gets it at 10, now he's 18, going off to college. Mom doesn't want to feed it.
Right.
Okay, so they contact me, I pick it up, make sure it's healthy. Find another kid who's 10 years old, basically, and they adopt it, and they have it. I've had one snake 3 or 4 times because of that,
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it just,
What's like the lifespan? What's the smallest, like the longest
Well,
lifespan of some of these pets?
most snakes, the smaller snakes, corn snakes, stuff like that, king snakes, 10 to 15 years like a dog. But the bigger snakes, like Burmese pythons, reticulated pythons, ball pythons, they can live anywhere from 25 to 40 years.
Wow.
I have a Burmese python at home that's about 29, and he's 16 and a half feet long and weighs between about 150 pounds.
Wow, so you don't bring him everywhere?
No, he's a little much for a kid's party,
So do you ever sleep with these animals? Like, what can you do? Like, I don't know.
Although I have almost fallen asleep, like using one as a pillow. My son, one time when he was sick, he wasn't feeling good, way back when he was about 9. I was cleaning one of the snake's cages, and I had her out on the front lawn. I said, hey, can you watch her for a few minutes while I clean her cage? Sure. I come back out there after about 5 minutes, and he is dead asleep with his head on the snake, just like this. It's so cute. It was so funny.
That is so funny.
The snake's just sitting there, not moving at all, because she didn't want to bother him.
Oh, wow. And how long does like this last?
Depends on the quality of care, honestly.
Really?
Okay. Average, the way most people take care of them, probably 5.5 years. But they can live 12 years or longer.
So why don't we take care of them? What aren't people doing?
Because a proper setup for something like that could cost $350.
Okay, so people are getting smaller spaces.
Well,
than they
not
should
even
have.
that. They're not spending. It's not the space as much. It's the lighting and heat, making sure everything is, in a thermostat. All the different things to add it up. And you go and buy a large enough glass tank. It can be very expensive. You can pay $200 just for the tank. For a 60-gallon tank for one, for a bearded dragon, for example. And then you're talking $100, $150 for the lighting,
So what if I just have this like around my house? Or
it would die.
Okay, so you have to have this set up.
Because without the proper heat, they don't digest their food. They're cold-blooded, see? So they don't produce their own heat. So
that's
when they eat something, if they eat something and they're too cold, it sits in their stomach and it'll literally rot because they can't digest it fast enough.
Wow.
And that could kill them. If you get them too hot, they can literally dehydrate,
Wow, so it has to be just right.
Basically, you want it in a range, okay?
They're so high maintenance.
You don't like your house getting 120 degrees during the winter, right? I mean, in the summer.
Right.
And you don't like it getting 30 degrees in the winter.
Right.
You like it at a certain temperature.
So we just have to learn their temperature.
Basically.
But
a
is
little
that
bit
why
of
he's so
research.
clean? Is he trying to stay warm?
They, probably, for the most part. It's cold outside. I brought him out of his thing, brought him over here. But bearded dragons, for the most part, are gentle. They don't mind being handled like this. They're just a little more expensive than an iguana. And iguanas are bigger, but most of the time they're mean and nasty. They just don't like being handled. But people buy them because they're cheap at the market where they've been brought in from Mexico or something, and Oh, yeah, look what I got. Oh, yeah, right. And about 3 weeks later, I get the call because they can't take care of this thing. And it's, claws are ripping up arms. And,
Oh, my gosh.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All kinds of stuff like that.
So what else do we got in our box of tricks?
I brought, this was another rescue just Monday, actually.
Wow.
This is a gopher tortoise. Basically, your California desert tortoise. And I don't know whether this one, I haven't checked it out, whether this is actually one from Texas or from California.
How big is it going to get?
Oh, she's full grown.
Okay, so it's not going to be one of
this
those really
is
big
a
ones.
full-grown female. She actually laid eggs a few years ago from the family, but they're moving to a place where it gets too cold, so they didn't want to take her with them.
Wow.
And she could be 50 years old or more.
Wow, how do we figure that out?
You can't. Unless you know their hatch date, you cannot tell the age of a reptile.
Oh, really? Wow.
They don't have rings like a tree.
Oh,
they don't
my
have none of that
goodness.
stuff.
There's not-
No,
like, they
no
don't
way to
age
tell.
at all.
Well, they don't.
You can
can't,
tell if something's old or young, right?
Not really.
Only if it's a baby or...
Yeah, I mean, the little hatchlings sometimes are different colors, but as an adult, you can't tell how old they are.
Wow. And so So how does it come out and then how does it hide? What makes it hide?
Scared, basically. I mean, if just like anything else, if you get threatened, you're slamming the door and hiding in your bedroom or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically what they do. So, yeah, this is a typical week. I get anywhere from 2 to 6 rescues every week. I'm picking up 2 more red-eared sliders this week,
Wow.
which are one of California's invasive species, pushing out our western pond turtle.
So how much does she eat a day?
They're a grazer, so they just eat grasses, just all day, pretty much going around eating grass.
Do you keep her like outside?
That's where she should be, yes. Well, I just picked her up yesterday, so in captivity, she should have a large backyard, and a lot of times in the winter she should actually be hibernating right now, but they didn't put her down for hibernation, and I don't know whether they even did that any year. But most gopher tortoises, when it gets really cold and wet, they dig these big tunnels down in the ground and then go up and hide up here like this. So even if the tunnel gets water in it, floods up to here, they're still safe over here.
Well, so, okay, if we don't know how old they are, how do we know if they're in their reproductive years or not?
You don't, unless they're, except for their size.
Because aren't we supposed to kind of separate? I've heard tortoises, you got to separate them unless you're trying to
If you're
breed
keeping
them.
them captivity, yes.
Yeah.
Because like California species like this, you can't own without permits.
Right.
Okay. These guys are actually protected in the wild. If this is a Texas gopher snake, it's okay to have here in California.
Okay.
But you can't take gopher tortoises from the wild and bring them in captivity. They're protected. But once it's in captivity, you also can't take it and then release it into the wild.
Right.
Because they could be taking diseases to the wild population. So it's a very fine line with some of this stuff as a rescue, knowing what, when I remove a rattlesnake for say, I try to keep it as close to the area that I picked it up from as possible, but far enough away that it's not going to get involved with people again, if possible.
I've heard that tortoises, if you don't separate them, that they'll just get mated
Oh,
until
yeah.
they die. Right.
That's happened before, yes.
So you always have to
Especially,
be careful with them.
because the males are very, very reproductive frenzy, okay? They get very little chance in the wild. So in captivity, they go like hog wild. Because in the wild, they may run across a female once every 5 years, or something, Maybe they're lucky and there's one in their area, but they're pretty solitary animals, so they could, travel all over. They only find one at the right time, once every few years, 5 years maybe. So when they find them, oh yeah, this is my chance, go for it. But in captivity, if you don't keep them separated, yeah, he can literally kill her.
Wow.
So, anyway, feel how heavy she is.
Whoa. So do they all get along? Can they all like be friends? Can he be chilling with her on the ground?
It wouldn't. Neither one of them basically would know the other one is there because it doesn't matter to them. To the bearded dragon, this is just a moving rock. You know?
Really?
Yeah. To her, it's not food. She don't care about it.
And she doesn't care if there's a snake lurking around?
No.
Either?
It's literally is food or another tortoise that's in their territory. That's it. That's the only thing that she would be worried about.
How many do you have at your house right now of everything?
I'd have to count, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 100 animals.
Whoa. 75 to 100. And we got that big baby coming out.
Yeah. This is a medium-sized snake. This is a Burmese python. Her name is Kira. And these are the third largest snake species in the world, depending on who you talk to. Some people say the African rock python is the third largest, but it really depends on what you talk to. But these guys are actually in captivity quite a lot.
Where are they from? Because this one.
Burmese.
Oh, that's all.
India.
Okay. Wow. So this one really traveled far, just like that.
It was bred here in the United States.
Okay.
They're decent pets. They're basically a giant ball python. You know, they just sit there. They're not aggressive. Everything with a mouth can bite. And snakes have no eyelids, so you can never tell when they're sleeping. Okay? So what happens if somebody startles you when you're sleeping? You're a protection mode,
that's what's
right?
Gonna happen. Oh, wow.
Okay? First thing for every animal. You're asleep and something startles you, you're awake, you're ready to defend yourself.
Right.
Well, snakes are the same way. Well, what do they defend themselves with? Just a cute little mouth right here. And so, you know, things can happen if you're not careful.
So they can bite, but they pretty much won't.
Anything with a mouth could bite. You could bite me. You have a mouth, you're moving, you could bite.
Right.
Doesn't mean you will, but under the right circumstances, you could.
Right.
You know?
Have they ever bit you?
Of course. Have you been scratched by your cat?
Right.
Okay? I mean, it's really no different. You play with your dog, you get scratched.
Right.
You get playing with your dog when they're a puppy especially, and they bite your hand, and you get a big scratch, and you go, oh, dumb dog. You know, wash it off and go on with life, right?
Do you ever breed these animals?
I do a little bit for fun. I breed sand boas, which are, have you ever seen the movie Tremors? Mm-hmm. Kevin Bacon, Reba McEntire?
Right.
You know the graboids?
So that's...
The graboids?
Yeah.
Okay, well, those are basically giant sand boas.
Wow.
Okay. But they're really slow and calm, and people really love them at my parties, and so, you know, I breed them. I'm one of the few breeders here in the area. But
how much is it to buy one?
They're not that expensive, you know.
But it takes a lot to...
No, they're actually very, very simple, because they only get, you know, the male's only about 8 to 10 inches typically, and the female's between 20 and 28 inches.
Okay, so she likes that when you...
Oh, it's just like a cat or a dog, you know. Yeah, it's just a love pat. What's really cool is you've watched them, they don't feel like you and I do, like pain. Like in the wild, if something bites them back, they don't feel that. But if you watch, you can see her, see her reaction.
She likes that.
Just like a cat, arching the back when you do that. You know, if you've ever done that to the back of it.
Wow. Yeah, she's getting happy. Her little tongue's out too.
Well, all she's doing is smelling. A healthy snake will be sticking their tongue out a lot because they're smelling what's going on.
Wow, that's so cool.
But yeah.
So if we went out of your party, we just look you up, and then I bet you're booked out pretty far in advance, though.
Typically 3 to 6 weeks.
And people could put in the request.
Oh yeah.
Of what animal?
Well, no, I bring a set amount of animals.
Bring what you're gonna bring. We can someone put like
because these are
that
animals. Well, this one typically doesn't. I don't want to knock the thing over.
That's okay. She could do whatever she wants.
I don't typically bring her because she's a little heavier. I bring a smaller one like this, and I bring a one that's actually longer than her. I bring a reticulated python that's a little longer, but she only weighs about 50, 60 pounds.
How much does this one weigh?
She weighs about 75, 80 pounds, maybe a little more, about 75.
And so where do you keep them all separated? Like, do you ever have a couple?
Oh yeah, they all have their own enclosures.
They can't, so they could never just hang out together all the time?
Snakes are pretty much solitary animals. Most reptiles are.
So unless you're breeding them, you're not going to put them together.
Nope, exactly.
They don't get lonely. They don't never need attention.
Nope. The thing is, like with any other animal, you've got to give them their proper respect, and if you care for them, take the right approach, hear her breathe.
I love it. I know. I've been hearing her for a while.
If you set it up right and you interact with them, they're very rewarding animals. But most people just have the fear because of all the movies and TV shows. Snakes are the bad guy, and everything except for Kung Fu Panda, basically.
And the Bible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to bring the Bible up, you know why Satan chose a serpent? Because they're the most beautiful and most highly intelligent of all the animals. Think about it. What was his whole thing? He wouldn't go for a lowly animal.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. This is such a beauty.
Your image of a dragon, like from Hobbit, Smaug, is the serpent of the Bible. Okay? Mm-hmm. Had wings and legs and all that kind of stuff. Intelligent, talking, and everything else. And
so, what makes them so intelligent?
I really don't know. It's just the way they are. But some are more than others.
And you could tell that since you're around them all.
And I mean by species. Reticulated pythons, gopher snakes, our native snake out here, one of them, are super highly, are super highly intelligent. They can figure out how to open up cages.
Wow,
okay,
really?
So you got to have them locked. I've got a friend that breeds monitors. Well, he had a male on one side and a female on the other with a sliding glass window with the lock. Mm-hmm. Okay, the monitor figured out how to open the lock, open the window, get out to her.
No
way. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, they're not dumb creatures, even though everybody thinks they are. They recognize people and things. They're not like going to come when you call them.
Right.
They're not a dog.
Right.
More like a cat. Half the time, most of the time, they'll sit on your lap and purr, and every once in a while, they're in a mood and say, "Leave me alone." I mean, that's a cat, right?
That totally is.
That's a cat, right? That's what these guys are more like.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show today. I want to have you back in a few months, and you could bring us some new friends. Thank you guys for coming on my show. I love all of it. The whole look, the whole get-up. Tell our viewers who you are and what you do.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Salem Fury, and I am the proud owner of Vermilion Entertainment DJ and Karaoke Services. We service weddings, private events, corporate events, private parties, you name it. And right now, I do got some open slots for commercial customers. I am looking for some establishments that are looking to run a weekly karaoke show. I've got some spaces open Monday through Friday right now. So feel free to go to my Facebook page, Vermilion Entertainment. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. Hit me up and let me know. I'd love to come and do a show at your establishment.
That is so cool. So, any venue or bars, clubs?
Oh yeah, any venue. I mean, I'll do bars, clubs. Over the holiday, I actually did, and shout out to Mickey's Bar and Grill in Lemoore. I did their Christmas party as well as their New Year's party, and through that, I actually was lucky enough to do a private party for a corporate client. They're known as the Surf Ranch out in Lemoore by Kelly Slater Wave Co. And they were celebrating their end of the season. And it turns out, unknown to me, that I actually might have made it into a shot in the background for a documentary they were filming. Because
that is so cool.
They had told me that the whole thing was for a deal that I guess they sealed in Dubai. So I guess they're going to have a location way out there. I'm like, man, Dubai, that's big. But I'll have to talk to them. Maybe we can get them on here and they can kind of tell you a little bit more about that in the future.
Let's all go to Dubai. Let's do that. I mean,
Yeah.
so this is cool. So do you have any places now that we can come hear you at?
Currently, right now, I've only done private events in the private sector, but I am in negotiations with a client that is doing something that has never been seen in Fresno before. There's never been an establishment like this. I'm not going to reveal who they are at this time. You'll have to follow my Facebook page or my social media to see who that is. Right now, I'm working on negotiations. So one phone call, a little back and forth, and we'll see where we're at that point. But it's going to be a fun time. It's something I'm definitely going to be very proud to be a part of, because like I said, they've never done anything like this before. And
it's a venue that we can go and see.
Yes, a brick and mortar venue.
Oh, okay.
And I will have a release date for that as soon as I've wrapped up negotiations and speaking with them. But it's something I am proud to be a part of, that I am going to be proud to be a part of, because just when you hear their story, and I will talk to them and see if they'd love to come on here and talk about their establishment, but the story behind the establishment is what really touched me personally. It kind of tapped into my past a little bit, and you know, I connected with them on that level. So I'm really excited to kind of talk about that in the future once we get things going.
So how'd you guys link up together?
How we got together?
Do you want to tell the story, or should I?
We've been together for 6 years.
And you guys bring it together?
Oh, with our karaoke?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm the assistant.
She's my resident co-host, my partner in crime. She's been at every gig so far, private and commercials. So, yeah, I always love having her there when, you know, whenever she can be, when she's not busy with school and stuff. Because I mean, who doesn't want their best friend, you know, rocking out with them at a show?
I love that. So you guys do some duets and stuff too when it gets to that point?
Oh yeah.
Like
I'm sure
Bring
you
Me
guys
to
have a
Life.
jam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're very well known around town.
So what's one of your like jams that your go-tos for a duo?
Either Bring Me to Life or The Shallow. Isn't it The Shallow?
As Made Famous by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper from A Star Is Born. Yeah.
We never actually watched the movie yet.
I think those are the two best that we're known for, especially Bring Me to Life. We're known as as the rocker couple that gets up there and does that.
I love that.
Yeah. Our main place that we like to hang out right now on the customer side when I'm not running the show would have to be Club Fab over in Tower District, because
I haven't been there in a while.
they're just so welcoming. You know, the community there is just so welcoming. No matter what walk of life you come from, no matter what your orientation is, they're just come one, come all, and they're welcoming to whoever ends up in front of their front doors. You know what I mean? And Isis De Luna, shout out to you, the drag queen, the drag mother over there. She is the lady in charge, and she's so awesome and welcoming. Like, you just have to go there and really talk to her and hang out with her during the show. And it's a great experience. You know, she's so loving, and we're proud to be customers of that club, and we're just proud to be allies of that community, because they've been so welcoming to us. Ever since we started hanging out there, and we've been hanging out there for quite a couple of years already. I think since I've been hanging out there. I want to say on and off since about late 2015, and I think we started going together. Sometime in late 2016, yeah.
I know we were there for New Year's Eve on the big 2020, and the year that was going to be amazing. Me and my producer were there for that. So, yeah, we love it. It's a great place.
Yeah.
So you guys, I just love the whole get up and the whole everything.
Thank
and
you.
You bring all this stuff, because sometimes people say they're going to bring you a DJ, and you're just like, okay, and and then
there's no personality.
No personality. You would think you're bothering them if you go up to them, and it's like, no, I want people that I vibe with, I can go talk to, and be like, hey, can you play this? You do this.
Thank you. See, and that's why I love that you said that, because that is why I fell in love with karaoke. Like, there's so many clubs. Like, there's a new up and coming club that just opened. I won't mention their name. But, I've been hitting them up for a little bit, and they have like a Friday, Saturday lined up with all these DJs. Some of the guys, I guess, work at some of the local radio stations, so I think that's kind of part of their appeal. And, like they really think they got it going on with all the DJs and stuff. And I'm like, you've never had an experience until you've had a karaoke night. Karaoke, and no offense to any of the DJs out there, I'm part of that community too, and I love it. I love what you guys all do out there. So keep doing it, keep rocking, keep mixing. But, karaoke is just it's a a whole playground of its own. Like there is not a more engaging experience than when you have just a rock and karaoke night.
There really
going on,
isn't.
And you have some badass singers up on stage, people just really getting it, and everyone just having a good time. Like that is why I firmly believe that karaoke is like the #1 source of entertainment here in Fresno. If you look around, most bars now are converting to being karaoke bars. That's part of their entertainment lineup for the week is karaoke, because a lot of bar owners are realizing that, you know what, this is an engaging pastime. It brings out the best in people, and it really, can increase drink sales. It can increase customer capacity because, some people need
and just increase your mood
courage.
overall, because people are like, they're more likely to play songs that so then people are like, oh yeah, this song, oh my gosh, when you do that. So I'm all about it. I think it's great.
So that's why I'm so passionate about it, and that's why I, promote karaoke as hard as I do.
And so do you guys do good in between, like the good DJ music in between sets, in between people going up there? Because I think that makes it a lot. I know I hang out a lot, and the Bobby Salzar's in Clovis.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and they do. I know there's one to talk about for the karaoke night in Clovis. They do where the guy does a really good in betweener. So then you get dancing, and then you get singing, you get a little dancing, you get
the best of both worlds.
Yeah, people do, and people do it. People actually dance in between the singers. So you mix a lot of that in with your sets.
I do. Yes, I of course mix a lot of that in with my sets. You never want to have dead air. That's like the worst thing for a DJ is dead air. And it's funny that you mentioned Bobby's in Old Town Clovis, or OTC as we call it over there. That's actually where I got my start at 15 years old. I was a resident customer over there, and I became known just as the rocker metal kid that would come every Friday, Saturday, and I would just rock out to Lincoln Park, Drowning Pool.
Oh, I love that.
Godsmack, you name it. I really just built my name over there, and I had a lot of fun. And DJ, shout out to Travis Holland. He was the one doing karaoke over there for years. I think he still might be around over there. You'll have to go to his Facebook page and check with him personally. But he was always a lot of fun, hosting the shows over there. And I loved just hanging out over there. And as soon as I hit 21, I started hitting up some of the 21 and over clubs and performing over there as a karaokeer. And then I got into running shows when I met Brian Richardson of Singing by Night Entertainment. Almost forgot his company name there. But he actually gave me my start, and that's something I'm proud to mention right now, is that he gave me my start, and that's something that a lot of people in the community wouldn't do. You know what I mean? Because then you're essentially creating more competition. But he saw past that. He saw that I had some talent. He saw that I had that drive in me to host these shows, and that I just loved the atmosphere and, the whole world around it. And so, he trained me up, and I started hosting shows under his company name for a while, and that's how I became known as a local KJ around here in Fresno, Clovis. And then from there, kind of just took a hiatus for a little while, worked on my personal life and was building my relationship. And then as of 2019, I made a $1,200 investment, got my equipment that you see right here behind me.
And that was money well spent. I know it's hard, but it's like now you really have it. And I would totally hire you guys. So but I do. People don't realize you have to invest. I mean, it had to be hard to be like,
yeah. There's still other costs too.
Yeah.
You got to repair the microphones. There's still insurance and all that you have to pay when somebody breaks
it. Setup alone is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And besides that, it's just work.
Takes
it's
time.
Money, and I think a lot of people miss that. We just don't think about those things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Every business has an investment behind it.
I mean,
but these are expensive, and not every.
These are expensive toys right here. I mean, would you like to go over some of this stuff?
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Well, this is really exciting. Like, you gotta
okay. So we will start with my baby right here. This is a Super Vintage 55 by Shore. It was actually a gift from my wife. And
you almost look at her more lovingly than your wife, but we'll call it, since she gave it to you, that's fine.
This was a little
This
was a little gift that was added to my arsenal here. Actually, this year she gifted this to me and added it to my arsenal.
That is so cool. That is beautiful.
Yeah, she just, I guess, it was
you
her way
haven't
of,
made it till you have a microphone. That's really cool.
It was her way of recognizing my passion for what I do. Yeah. So now I have this for, weddings and those special events. And of course, like my top singers, I will absolutely bust this out for you.
People want to take photos with it.
Oh yeah, it's a great photo op, and it sounds amazing once you get it plugged in, you know. So I love this thing.
It's only for special occasions, not the drunk bars.
I know. It's like
no. Yeah, I don't give this to everybody with a beer in their hand.
More like weddings.
This stays right next to.
I totally get it.
Stays right next to Papa, unless if you're rocking out and you're getting in, and I see that you're just a top singer. The next time I see you, I might just bring this and bust it out for you. Like, you know what? Hold on. I got you. And I'll set you up with this beauty right here.
I love that. That's awesome.
Oh, man. Yeah, you got to see her do like Adele on this. It's amazing.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait. I'm going to come out to wherever you guys are. I'm coming out.
Oh, I love to hear it. I'm glad to hear that, And so these are my 2 speakers here. These are Harbingers. These are V12s. And they can really, blow the roof off, you know what I mean? Like they have a few different modes. And
are those, okay, so are those speakers in between the lights? Is it speakers and lights?
so these are all lights right here. This is my stage lighting.
Oh,
and,
so those almost look like little speakers, but I guess they're little bulbs.
yeah, these are all
They
little
move.
bulbs,
They go
and
like this.
it's a multicolor
You get the
LED.
experience.
So, yeah, I mean,
Oh my
I bring the
gosh.
sound with these speakers. I mean, like I say, they will blow the roof off of any establishment, especially if I put them into a performance mode, which a lot of sound engineers and DJs, you'll understand what I mean. Like, it really just, it's a performance like no other when you set these babies
Well,
up.
you're
And-
definitely making a performance, and that's what I like because
Oh yeah, and then I got the Yamaha mixer over here. This really adds just that oomph to any vocal performance. I've got a lot of different vocal effects in there that I add based on what artist, what kind of song it is, and what kind of.
So when there's a bad singer, what do? You put something low. I see them
so
do that. I see them.
when
do
there's so if there's someone that's struggling, is what I'll say to answer your question. What we like to do is, we might kind of dial down a little bit on the volume, and we turn the effects way up because that'll really hide a lot of the imperfections in the vocal performance. Is turning those vocal effects way up and using the correct vocal effects. I usually have a basic reverb and such on there for most performances, but if somebody like my wife's going up there and I know what kind of song she's doing, then I'll add, a little bit of reverb and echo and, it really just depends on what she's doing. But for like an Adele performance, I'd say just a little reverb and echo would really make the performance, and it sounds great. I mean, that's what I'm all about. My slogan at Vermilion Entertainment is become legendary, and I chose that slogan because I'm not just there to put on a good time and offer you a good time and play some music and we all dance and sing and act silly and have fun. Like, I am there to give you the experience of a lifetime. So if you love country, I will make you a country star. If you love rock, I'll make you a rock star. I'll make you a pop star, rap star, you name it. I will make you sound like your favorite artist. I will make you sound like a professional.
He's a performer too. He's an impressionist, so he does a little bit of everything.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah, that's real freaking sweet. Hi everybody, Peter Griffin here, taking over the Everything Sparkle show. Oh, you're such a mic hog, fat man. Move over. So I have a lot of fun with doing some impressions and stuff like that. But I do like to perform.
What's your favorite impression of his?
The old man Herbert is
God.
it's really good. I can't help it. It's a bad one, but it's a really good one at the same time.
Oh man.
Because he does it spot on.
Okay, I bet. So I am a father myself, and just full disclosure there, I'm not a creeper. I swear to you, I am a loving father. But just some
joke.
good old Herbert the pervert from Family Guy, Hey there, young fella, you like popsicles? You need to come on down to my cellar. I got a whole freezer full of popsicles.
Sorry.
Those are the.
I
think Family Guy was the start of really doing impressions and stuff, and I have a lot of fun with it. I'm actually working on recording some of those right now.
I was going to ask you,
To
so
showcase that.
want you to come to our party, when we hire you, and we
Yeah.
ask you to bring that, you'll bring it. In
Oh
between.
yeah, I mean, there's
He's
some
working on
songs.
his Fiverr right now.
Love it.
I do got a Fiverr account that I'm working on. I'm also working on an Audible account. I do like to narrate, but yeah, I mean, with some of those impressions, especially Peter and Stewie,
Morgan Freeman.
I
That's one of my favorites too.
I'll actually perform some songs because I was inspired by a guy named Mikey Bolts on
Yes.
YouTube, and there's some songs that I just couldn't help it. When I go out to karaoke, there's some songs that he did in the style of their voices that I will go out to karaoke and do that.
I
So,
love it. Oh my
yeah, and
God.
it's
It's
just
actually an
full-on
Adele
Peter,
song
Peter and
he
Stewie
does.
just performing,
Yeah.
you know, Old Town Road, or
The
yeah,
lyrics are changed,
Peter and the
though.
Gang performing "Hello" by Adele. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot different doing it live, but it's amazing fun. You should see the look on the crowd's faces. It really just catches them off guard. But yeah,
This is
so-
great. We're going to keep up with everything you're doing. And I love, because I lived in LA for like 15 years, and this seems like a next level, like Vegas, like DJ. Like this is like some nightclub, like karaoke material. I love where this is going.
yeah.
This, like the
Yeah.
performance, like you said, the whole 9 yards. So I'm
Yeah.
all about it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, I didn't bring the chords and everything in here with me. I kind of just brought some of the stuff on for display here. But I mean, you know, if you guys got the time after the show, I got the equipment. We could put on a little private show and give you guys an experience, you know?
I love that. Thank you so much. So social media, what's your guys' social?
So for me, it's going to be, you know, Facebook, Vermilion Entertainment, TikTok at Vermilion Entertainment, as well as Instagram at Vermilion Entertainment.
And I'm Vermilion Ultralife. It's 2 L's, Vermilion, because it's $1 million company one day.
Oh, I can
Yes.
see it. No, this is one of the coolest things I've seen in Central Valley. Like,
This
as
is
far
only
as
one of
this.
many things that we're going to do. We have big business ideas.
Well, and so
Yeah.
every 6 months you're gonna have to come back and tell me what's going on
Yeah,
here.
I'm
yeah.
actually working on my own real estate investing courses so I can learn to do short-term rentals, and then from that, getting out of having to pay my monthly expenses, so I can free up my time, so I can focus on all our big business ideas.
So we can have parties at your short-term rentals.
Oh, yeah.
Oh goodness.
I know about that.
I mean, there might be a big cleaning bill, but
But I mean, we can make
for
it
that,
happen. So yeah, that's, you know, I mean, you got to raise capital some way. So
Yeah.
that's some stuff we're looking into on her end. And, you know, as they say, you got to spend some money to make money. So money's got to come from somewhere.
Right.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Oh, we
today.
love to, you know,
Yeah.
we're happy to be here. Like I said, I saw you making some waves on on Facebook on the Filmmakers Alliance. So when Desiree told me that there was a spot, I was like, absolutely, I'd love to come and, you know, chat it up.
So movies and music, that's our jam. We're gonna do movies
Oh yeah.
and music.
Hell yes. I mean, film and music, you know. Music is, you know, it's a passion. It's the rhythm of the soul, you know.
Thanks for coming on the show today.
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh I must confess dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.